The young and the Restless spoilers fans had long been intrigued by the mysterious connections that wove through the lives of their favorite characters. Rumors and secrets were as much a part of the lore as the characters themselves. Among the hottest of these mysteries was the revelation that Victor had uncovered a secret relationship. Damian, the enigmatic figure everyone knew for his complex past, had a surprisingly intimate connection with a man named Aristotle Dumas, a man who, until then, had not even made an appearance on the scene. For months, whispers of this covert relationship had circulated among the fans, fueling countless theories and heated debates on forums and social media. The curiosity reached fever pitch when Damian, seemingly nonchalant, casually referred to Aristotle as Dad during a seemingly innocent outing with Lily. The comment, thrown out almost as an afterthought, sent shockwaves through Lily, whose mind immediately began racing with questions. Who was this Aristotle? Why would Damian refer to him in such a familiar, almost familial manner? The air of mystery deepened further when, moments later, Alan arrived on the scene. In an even more startling twist, Damian addressed Alan by the same affectionate title, Ed, thereby confirming that this secret was no mere rumor but a startling reality with layers of deception yet to be uncovered. Lily's heart pounded with confusion and disbelief. Unable to process the sudden revelation, she found herself drifting away from the group until she could seek refuge in a quiet corner of a secluded mansion. There, in a dimly lit room hidden from prying eyes, Lily crouched behind a half-closed door, determined to piece together the fragments of the conversation she was about to overhear. Little did she know that what she was about to hear would shake her to the core and unravel the sinister tapestry of betrayal and conspiracy that lay behind the smiles and friendly facades of those she once trusted. Inside the room, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Alan, his voice low and urgent, began to outline a plan that chilled Lily to her very soul. "I'm afraid," Alan whispered with an edge of desperation, "that if anyone finds out about our plan, everything will collapse. The only way to ensure there's no trace is to eliminate any witnesses." His tone was grave and menacing as he continued, "Phyllis and Sharon must never see the light of day again." The words sent shivers down Lily's spine. It wasn't just a plan of betrayal, it was an abominable scheme that intended to erase lives entirely. Lily listened intently, her mind racing as she pieced together the horror unfolding in her ears. According to Alan's chilling explanation, the plan was as ruthless as it was methodical. Phyllis and Sharon had been held captive in a room, locked away and rendered completely defenseless. Damian, whose previously inscrutable loyalty had been a source of admiration for some and suspicion for others, was revealed to be the one who had ensured their restraint. With expert precision, Damian had bound them securely, making escape nearly impossible. The method was as cruel as it was calculated: burn the room to obliterate all evidence, leaving no trace behind and silencing any cries for help. As Alan continued, his voice took on a cold, calculated tone. "After they're gone, there'll be no evidence of our actions. The flames will consume every trace, and they won't be there to testify or scream." It was a plan that combined cruelty with the ultimate finality, death, leaving behind nothing but smoldering ruins and a shattered web of deceit. Inside the room, Lily's mind reeled with the enormity of what she had just heard. The betrayal cut deep, not only because the people involved were once considered trusted allies, but also because it revealed a hidden side of those she had thought she knew so well. The revelation that Damian was not only concealing his true paternal bonds but was also involved in a deadly conspiracy was too much for her to bear in silence. Every word from Alan's mouth was a sinister reminder that nothing was as it seemed, and that the line between friend and foe had become disturbingly blurred. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, Lily knew she had to act. She couldn't stand by and allow this monstrous plan to go unchecked. Clenching her fists tightly, she made the difficult decision to leave her hiding spot and dash out into the dark corridors of the mansion. Every step she took echoed her resolve to expose the truth, no matter how dangerous the consequences might be. The stakes had become unimaginably high. Not only were lives hanging in the balance, but the trust and very fabric of their seemingly stable world was now at risk of being torn apart. With her heart pounding like a frantic drumbeat, Lily navigated through shadowy hallways and silent rooms, trying desperately not to alert the conspirators to her presence. Each creak of the floorboards heightened her anxiety, each distant whisper fueled her urgency. She needed to find someone she could trust, someone who would help her bring this horrific plan into the light of day. In her mind, she replayed every detail of the conversation, every sinister note in Alan's tone, and every careless mention of names that now carried the weight of a hidden agenda. Lily's thoughts darted back to the earlier moment when Damian had casually called Aristotle Dad during the outing. That innocent-sounding remark now took on a different hue in the light of what she had just overheard. It was clear that Damian's loyalty was split, and that the man he had once looked up to, Alan, was not just a father figure but the orchestrator of a plan so diabolical that it defied all moral boundaries. It was a revelation that would forever change her understanding of the relationships that held this circle together. As Lily hurried along the corridor, she realized that time was of the essence. She needed to alert someone who could help thwart this catastrophe before it was too late. Every second counted. Her mind churned with the possibilities of who to trust in a world now clouded by deceit and betrayal. The once familiar faces of allies now seemed suspicious, and the secure walls of the mansion suddenly appeared as a labyrinth of hidden threats. With her pulse racing and her mind alight with determination, Lily resolved to bring the truth to light. She vowed that she would expose Alan's chilling plan, reveal Damian's hidden allegiances, and ultimately save Phyllis and Sharon from a gruesome fate. The danger was palpable, the stakes higher than ever, and the night was far from over. Yet, despite the overwhelming fear that threatened to paralyze her, Lily's courage surged forth. She was determined to stand against the darkness that had invaded their lives and to ensure that the truth would prevail, even if it meant putting herself in grave danger. In that moment, Lily became more than just an observer of a sinister plot. She transformed into a beacon of hope, a lone warrior prepared to fight against an impending disaster. Her heart, though trembling with anxiety, burned with the fire of resolve. She had seen too much, heard too many truths that were meant to be hidden, and now she had to ensure that justice was served. The path ahead was fraught with peril, but Lily knew that doing nothing was not an option. As she reached a secure exit, her mind was already strategizing the next steps. She would have to gather allies, evidence, and any information that could help dismantle the treacherous network woven by Alan, Damian, and the enigmatic figures behind the scenes. The world of deception was vast and dangerous, but Lily's determination was unyielding. With every step she took into the uncertain night, she clung to the hope that by shining a light on these dark secrets, she could prevent further tragedy and restore the trust and integrity that had been so violently shattered. The night was silent now, but Lily's resolve thundered in her ears, echoing the silent promise she made to herself. No matter what it took, she would stop the looming catastrophe, reveal the hidden truths, and bring those responsible to justice. In the interplay of shadows and light, a single voice, Lily's, had become the spark that could ignite a revolution against the darkness lurking within. And as the first rays of dawn began to hint at the horizon, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same again. Lily's heart pounded as she burst through the heavy oak door of Victor's private study. The earlier revelations haunted her, and now a burden pressed on her conscience. She had not only witnessed a plot that threatened the lives of Phyllis and Sharon but had also uncovered secrets that could unravel the very fabric of Genoa City's intricate power dynamics. With trembling determination, she prepared to reveal everything to Victor, the secret of Damian's mysterious ties with Alan. "Victor," she said in a hushed yet urgent tone, "you need to know the truth about Damian. I've been investigating him, and what I've discovered, it's far worse than anyone imagined." Victor's eyes, normally as cold and calculating as ever, widened in shock as Lily continued. She recounted every detail with precision, how Damian had casually referred to Aristotle as Dad during an outing with Lily, how he later addressed Alan the same way, and, most chilling of all, the conversation she overheard in a secluded room, Alan's diabolical plan to burn the chamber where Phyllis and Sharon were imprisoned. The implications were staggering. Not only was there a hidden connection between Damian and Alan, but the depth of their conspiracy reached into the darkest corners of Genoa City's underworld. As Lily explained the intricacies of the scheme, Victor's mind raced. A plan so calculated that the conspirators intended to incinerate any trace of their heinous actions left him with no choice but to act swiftly. "We have to move now," Victor declared, his voice a mix of panic and steely resolve. "We need to rescue Phyllis and Sharon before they become nothing more than ashes, and we must do so without leaving any evidence behind. They are clever adversaries. If they suspect we're onto them, they'll vanish from Genoa at a moment's notice." The weight of Lily's revelations pressed heavily on Victor. In a series of rapid-fire thoughts and decisions, he began orchestrating a plan to track down and free the captives. He knew that the conspirators' cunning and ruthlessness meant they wouldn't make a single misstep. Every movement had to be calculated, every whisper of evidence eliminated. No trace could be left behind that might lead back to him or expose their involvement. The thought of exposing the secret network, the dark alliance between Damian and Alan, filled him with both dread and a fervent desire for justice. Yet, even as Victor marshaled his resources and assembled his most trusted allies, the questions about Damian's true identity gnawed at him. Who really is Damian? Victor muttered under his breath, pacing back and forth in his study. He's been shrouded in mystery for so long. Isn't he supposed to be Amy's son and Nate's little brother? Then why does he have this connection with Alan, a man who might have raised him from a very young age? Something doesn't add up. The question was more than a mere curiosity. In the tangled web of family legacies and hidden loyalties, Damian's background was the missing link that could explain everything. Amy's legacy was steeped in honor and expectation, yet the whispers of another life, a life crafted under the tutelage of Alan, cast a long shadow of doubt over everything Victor thought he knew. Could it be that Damian had been raised under an entirely different banner? Had he been molded in the clandestine corridors of power by someone else entirely? This possibility sent a shiver down Victor's spine. Even as these doubts swirled in his mind, Victor's determination to save Phyllis and Sharon took precedence. He quickly mobilized a small, elite team, instructing them in hushed tones. "We must proceed without alerting our enemies," he whispered. "Our adversaries are cunning. If they realize we are closing in on them, they will immediately flee Genoa City, leaving no trace of their nefarious deeds. We need to be as silent and precise as shadows in the night." In the hours that followed, Victor's plan began to take shape. Under the cloak of darkness, his team crept along secret corridors and narrow passageways of the mansion where Phyllis and Sharon were being held. Every step was calculated, every breath was measured. The conspirators, Damian and Alan, had left their mark in subtle signals and cryptic codes, ensuring that if any rescue attempt were made, they would have ample warning. Victor's mind raced through every possible scenario, every contingency, all the while haunted by the unanswered question, what was Damian's true agenda in Genoa? Lily, still reeling from the shock of her own discoveries, watched as Victor's team prepared for the rescue operation. The urgency in her eyes was met by Victor's unyielding determination. For her part, she couldn't help but wonder if revealing the secret of Damian's upbringing might further complicate an already perilous situation. The connection between Damian and Alan was not merely a matter of familial ties, it was a key to understanding a much larger conspiracy. Perhaps, as she had suspected from the earliest clues, Alan had taken on the role of a surrogate father to Damian, a role that could explain the unwavering loyalty and cryptic communications between the two men. While Victor's team stealthily infiltrated the mansion, a parallel investigation was already underway. The question of Damian's true identity began to take on a life of its own among the underground circles of Genoa City. Rumors spread like wildfire, whispers that Damian was not the son he claimed to be, but rather a man raised in the shadows by someone who had far more to gain from his allegiance than Amy ever could. Some speculated that his bloodline might be linked to an old dynasty of power brokers, while others believed that Alan had groomed him to become the linchpin of a new order in the city. In hushed tones, operatives debated whether Damian was a pawn or a master strategist in his own right. Meanwhile, As Victor's team approached the locked chamber where Phyllis and Sharon were held captive, every moment seemed to stretch into eternity. The air was thick with anticipation and the ever-present danger of detection. The conspirators, fully aware of the risk of exposure, had engineered the room's security with multiple layers of safeguards. Thick ropes bound the captives, and ingenious mechanisms were in place to ensure that any sudden disturbance would trigger a silent alarm. Victor's team had to rely on their utmost precision and stealth. With every tool at their disposal, they aimed to neutralize the threat without alerting the enemy. In the midst of this covert operation, Victor's mind kept circling back to Damian. Who was he really? The name was spoken with reverence and fear throughout Genoa City. Many had assumed he was simply Amy's son, inheriting a legacy of loyalty and perhaps a hint of rebellion. Yet, the emerging evidence pointed to a far more complex and darker origin. A secret upbringing under Alan's rigorous and possibly ruthless guidance. This revelation painted Damian in a new light, not merely as a troubled youth caught between family legacies, but as a potential architect of a sinister plot that threatened the very foundations of trust and security in Genoa. As the rescue operation unfolded, Victor's team encountered unexpected complications. One of the traps set by the conspirators nearly ensnared a key operative, forcing an impromptu retreat and a re-evaluation of their strategy. With every setback, the pressure mounted, and every second that ticked by meant that the conspirators might be one step closer to executing their deadly plan. The brilliance of their enemies lay not just in their meticulous planning but also in their willingness to erase all evidence, burning not only the room but also any shred of connection to themselves if ever they were discovered. Despite these obstacles, Victor's resolve did not waver. With a combination of technological savvy and old-fashioned detective work, he and his team managed to dismantle the locking mechanisms one by one. Their goal was to ensure that no trace of their involvement would be left behind, a silent testament to their prowess and a final blow to the conspirators' arrogance. In a climactic moment, as the first hints of dawn crept over the horizon, Victor's team successfully breached the chamber. Phyllis and Sharon, though weakened by their ordeal, were freed from their bindings. The relief among the team was palpable, but so was the looming threat of retaliation. Victor knew that the conspirators would not sit idly by. The mastermind behind the plot, with his hidden identity and ambiguous loyalties, would soon retaliate in a bid to cover his tracks and escape the tightening noose of justice. After the rescue, Victor convened a secret meeting with his closest confidants, including Lily. As they reviewed every detail of the operation, the mystery of Damian's true identity loomed larger than ever. "We must unearth the full truth," Victor asserted gravely. "If Damian is indeed more than what we believed, a pawn in a far more dangerous game, then understanding his past is key to preventing future calamities." Lily nodded, her mind still haunted by the conversation she had overheard. She reiterated the chilling details, how Alan had spoken about their plans to leave no evidence, how the conspirators had meticulously secured Phyllis and Sharon, and how every step had been premeditated to ensure their escape should they ever be cornered. In the ensuing days, as Victor's investigation deepened, Genoa City found itself on the brink of an unprecedented crisis. Rumors swirled and alliances shifted as the intricate web of deception began to unravel. Every character, every whispered conversation in shadowy corridors, and every coded message carried the weight of secrets too dangerous to ignore. The question of Damian's lineage and purpose was no longer a mere curiosity, it was the pivot upon which the future of Genoa City might turn. As the layers of betrayal continued to peel away, it became clear that the conspiracy was far more expansive than anyone had anticipated. Alan, with his cold pragmatism, had been grooming Damian not only as a surrogate son but possibly as the heir to a clandestine empire built on fear and manipulation. The very notion sent shockwaves through Victor's inner circle, and a renewed urgency gripped every operative involved in the investigation. Lives hung in the balance, and the fate of an entire city teetered on the edge of revelation. Victor now faced a dual battle, one against the immediate threat to Phyllis and Sharon and another against the insidious force that Damian, and by extension, Alan, represented. His next steps would be decisive and fraught with peril. Every moment that passed increased the risk of the conspirators fleeing Genoa City, leaving behind only questions and scorched ruins. With every detail meticulously catalogued and every alliance tested, Victor resolved to press forward, determined to unravel the mystery of Damian's true identity and expose the full extent of the treachery that had seeped into the heart of Genoa. The stage was set for a confrontation that promised to reshape the future of Genoa City. In the interplay of shadow and light, trust and betrayal, one thing was certain: the truth, no matter how deeply buried, would eventually come to light. And as Victor, Lily, and their allies prepared for the next move, a sin